Online shopping used to come with an invisible promise: buy it now, try it at home, and if you do not like it, send it back for free. That promise changed the internet. It made buying clothes online feel less risky. It made customers more comfortable ordering shoes without trying them on. It made people buy three sizes of the same jacket, two colors of the same dress, or 10 items from a fast fashion haul, knowing most of it could go back. For years, free returns felt like a normal part of online shopping. It was not treated as a luxury, it was expected. If a retailer wanted customers to trust them, they had to make returns easy. If they did not, shoppers could just go somewhere else. But that era is starting to end. Amazon is becoming more selective about which returns are actually free. Zara charges for drop-off returns in many markets while keeping store returns free. H&M charges for mail-in returns. Shein gives customers one free return per order, but charges for later returns. ASOS is going even further, using customer return behavior to decide who gets charged, who loses perks, and in some cases, who gets their account closed. Online shopping is not becoming impossible, but it is becoming less generous, less predictable, and less frictionless than it used to be. And the reason is simple: free returns were never really free. Someone was always paying for the shipping, the warehouse labor, the inspection, the repackaging, the markdowns, the fraud, and the inventory risk. For years, retailers absorbed those costs because free returns helped them grow, but now the cost has become too large to ignore. The return policy is no longer just a customer service feature, it has become a business model problem. To understand why, you have to understand how online shopping trained customers to behave. In physical stores, trying things on is normal. You walk into a fitting room, test a few sizes, keep what works, and leave the rest behind. The store absorbs that friction because the product never left the building. Online shopping moved the fitting room into the customer's home. Retailers encourage this because it solved the biggest weakness of e-commerce. When you buy online, you cannot feel the fabric. You cannot test the size. You cannot see how the color looks in real life. You cannot know if a pair of shoes fits until it arrives at your door. Free returns removed that fear. The message was simple: do not worry. Order it. Try it. Return it. And customers listened. This created a behavior called bracketing. Bracketing is when a shopper orders multiple versions of the same item with the intention of returning the ones that do not work. One pair of jeans in three sizes, one dress in two colors, one pair of shoes in half a size up and half a size down. From the customer's point of view, this makes perfect sense. Online sizing is inconsistent. A medium in one brand can fit like a small in another, and a shoe can look perfect in photos but feel uncomfortable in real life. A jacket can be the right size on paper but look completely different on your body. So customers built their own solution. They overordered, and for a while, retailers accepted it. Free returns increased conversion, they reduced hesitation, they made the checkout button less scary, they helped online fashion grow. The customer who might have bought one item could now buy five because the risk felt low, but what worked as a growth hack became an operating nightmare. The problem with returns is that they run the logistics system backwards. When a retailer ships a product to you, the process is optimized. The item moves from warehouse to carrier to customer. Everything is tracked, packed, labeled, and designed for speed. A return is messier. The customer sends the item back from a house, parcel locker, store, or drop-off point. It may come back in damaged packaging, it may be missing tags, it may smell like perfume, it may be worn, it may arrive too late to sell at full price. It has to be transported, opened, inspected, sorted, repackaged, refunded, restocked, discounted, liquidated, or destroyed. That is not a simple reversal of a sale, it is a second supply chain, and it is expensive. Industry research projects that retailers will handle about $850 billion in returns in 2025. Online returns are expected to be especially high, with nearly 1 in 5 online purchases coming back. In fashion and footwear, the problem is even worse because size and fit drive so many returns. This means that a large part of online revenue is not really final when the customer pays. It is provisional. The retailer gets the sale, but then has to wait and see how much of it comes back. That makes e-commerce harder than it looks. A dress sold online for $50 is not automatically a $50 sale. If the customer returns it, the retailer may have paid for outbound shipping, return shipping, warehouse handling, repackaging, payment processing, and maybe a markdown if the item misses the peak selling window. If the item cannot be resold as new, the loss gets even worse. This is why returns can consume a large share of order value. The cost is not just the postage, it is the entire process behind getting that item back into sellable condition, and when margins are thin, That matters. Fast fashion is built on volume, speed, and low prices. Many items are not expensive enough to justify a complicated return process. If a low-priced item comes back and requires shipping, inspection, repackaging, and storage, the economics can become absurd. At some point, the retailer may lose more handling the return than the item was ever worth. That is why some retailers use returnless refunds for low-value or bulky items. If shipping the product back costs more than the product itself, it can be cheaper to refund the customer and let them keep it. But that creates another problem: fraud. Return fraud has become one of the biggest reasons retailers are tightening policies. Some fraud is simple. A customer claims an item never arrived when it did. Someone returns an empty box. Someone swaps the real item for a counterfeit. Someone wears an outfit once and returns it. Someone returns a cheaper product instead of the expensive one they bought. This is not just a small annoyance. Retailers estimate that a meaningful share of returns are fraudulent or abusive. Once fraud becomes large enough, return policies stop being only about convenience. They become about risk management. That is when the industry changes. Retailers start tracking return behavior. They start using AI tools to detect suspicious patterns. They start charging for some returns. They shorten return windows. They push customers toward cheaper return channels. They identify serial returners. They create loyalty tiers where some customers still get free returns and others do not. In other words, free returns are being replaced by conditional returns. And you can see this clearly in the biggest retailers. Start with Zara. Zara is one of the clearest examples of the new model. It still allows returns, but in many markets, it charges for drop-off returns while keeping store returns free. In the US, Zara charges a fee for returns made through delivery points, deducted from the refund, while store returns remain free. In the UK, Finland, and other markets, the same logic appears: return in store for free or pay to send it back through a drop-off or postal method. This is not random, it is channel steering. Zara wants customers to choose the cheapest and most useful return path for Zara. If you return in store, Zara avoids some logistics costs. It also gets you back into the shop where you might buy something else. If you return by mail or drop-off point, Zara recovers part of the cost by deducting a fee from your refund. From the customer's point of view, this makes online shopping worse. The product is still returnable, but the risk has shifted. If the size is wrong and you do not live near a store, the mistake now costs you money. H&M is doing something similar. In the US, H&M charges a flat fee for mail-in returns of online purchases while keeping in-store returns free. In several European markets, including Finland, H&M also charges for online returns while offering free store returns for H&M items. The pattern is the same. Do not eliminate returns, but make the more expensive return path less attractive. This is the quiet transformation happening across e-commerce. Retailers are not saying you cannot return this. They are saying you can return it, but the easiest option for you may no longer be free. Shein uses another version of the same strategy. Shein built its business around extremely cheap fashion, huge product variety, and high order volumes. But low prices make returns especially difficult because the cost of processing a return can quickly eat the value of the item. So Shein's model encourages consolidation. In the US, Shein allows one free return per order for eligible items. But if customers make second or additional returns from the same order, fees can apply. The message is clear: if you are going to return things, bundle them together. Do not send multiple parcels back at different times and make the logistics more expensive. This is a smarter policy than simply charging everyone immediately, but it still changes the customer experience. The shopper has to think about the return window, the number of returns per order, excluded categories, and whether all unwanted items are ready to send back at once. That is more friction. Then there is ASOS, which may be the clearest example of where the industry is heading. ASOS was built on online fashion. Free returns were central to the experience because ASOS had no physical store network where customers could try products. For years, the model was simple: order, try, return. It helped make ASOS a default destination for online fashion. But ASOS has moved toward a more targeted system. Customers with very high return rates can face fees unless they keep a certain amount of the order. ASOS has also introduced return rate transparency tools and fair use policies that treat returns as part of customer behavior scoring. In stricter cases, customers accused of abusing the policy can lose perks or even face account closure. This is a major shift. Returns are no longer just a transaction, they are part of your customer profile. A shopper who returns occasionally may still experience the platform as convenient. A shopper who orders frequently and returns most of it
may be treated differently. The same retailer can now feel generous to one customer and hostile to another. That is why online shopping feels worse for many people. The policy is no longer simple. The old promise was universal. Free returns. The new promise is conditional. Free returns depending on where you live, what you bought, how you return it, how often you return things, whether you are a loyalty member, whether the item is eligible, whether the seller is Amazon or a marketplace seller, whether the return reason qualifies, and whether the algorithm thinks your behavior is normal. Amazon shows how complicated this can become. Amazon still offers free returns on many items. It also keeps expanding convenient drop-off options, including box-free and label-free returns through partner locations. In some ways, Amazon has made returns easier than ever. While you can drop something off without printing a label or packing a box. But Amazon is also becoming more selective. Some items are marked with free returns while others are not. Some return methods may carry fees if a cheap or free option is available nearby. In parts of Europe, Amazon has shortened return windows for selected categories. The company is not simply ending free returns, it is steering customers toward the return methods that are cheapest and most efficient for Amazon. That is the future of returns, not no returns, but managed